Noodling is for everyone. It's not about being perfect, it's about having fun, exploring your creativity, and discovering the joy of making music. So grab your guitar, find a backing track, and let's start noodling. You might just surprise yourself with what you can create. So what is noodling, and why should you learn how to do it? There are lots of names for playing melody on guitar, including soloing, shredding, taking a lead, and many of these terms they're kind of burdened with connotations of mastery and performance, which can be really kind of off-putting when you first start out. And that's why we prefer to just call it noodling. So up to this point, you've been playing mostly harmony in your guitar, you've been playing chords. Maybe you've been backing a singer, maybe you've been singing yourself, but that's harmony. And that's pretty much the majority of the way people play guitar. You're going to be playing chords, you're going to be backing up a singer, you're going to be part of a band. But the other art would be playing melody on your guitar. So noodling is an opportunity to play single line melodies and explore parts of your guitar. You might be noodling way up here, which you may never ever get to if you're stuck down here. But you could be stuck down here, playing open chords, and still be able to noodle. So here's a G. I could be noodling just playing that G note, and there's me noodling. That's me just playing 3 notes on a single string. That's noodling. And if you have a backing track, it's just really fun. If you're struggling to put enough time into your guitar, noodling is another way you can actually spend kind of fun time rather than just like, what am I going to do? Do I have to practice? Noodling is really incredibly enjoyable. Like you can just put a backing track on and noodle along, make sure no one's listening, you're just off by yourself, and you can spend half an hour playing your guitar, far longer than you normally would, but you're just having fun. Here's another distinction about noodling. Noodling is all about improvisation, not playing prescribed chords in a rigid pattern. So you got your chord progression, and you have to do that exactly, or you're going to mess up, you're going to be, frowned upon. But there's nothing really wrong you can do in noodling. Like, obviously you can play a note that's not in the scale. But if you are brazen enough, so this G sharp is not part of the scale, you probably wouldn't be playing a G sharp note. But when you're noodling, you can play that. Even though I might have played it wrong, that G sharp note, if you go back to it and make it a feature, now it becomes a feature of your noodling rather than a wrong note. So there are no wrong notes. And that's kind of the beauty about noodling. You can just have fun, you can be free with it, and as long as you don't feel pressured, you can have fun. Okay, we're going to start noodling. And so the first thing you need to do is get a backing track, which you know the key of, if possible. And then we're going to start noodling over that backing track. So I have a little looping pedal here, so I'm going to just create a quick loop. Okay, so I have a loop going in the background. It happens to be in the key of E. And so the best place to start is with one note. So we're going to start super small. And guess what note we're going to go on? We're going to go on the tonic note of the scale. And so this is in the key of E. So it's going to be based on the scale of E major. And the tonic note is the E. So what you need to do to start noodling is to listen to the music and respond to it. So one note, the tonic note, and I'm just trying to listen to and respond to the music so I can hear there's a rhythm there. And so noodling is kind of responding to the music, hearing the rhythm, and because I only have one note, I don't have to really worry about what note to go to. So it's a great way to start, is just to think about where am I going to play that note? So you could also play it up here. So there I was playing the octave, I was playing the open E. So I'm just playing that one note. And I can obviously do the little vibrato if I want to get like funky. There was my first noodle. What I really would like for you to take away is that there's nothing you can possibly do wrong when you're noodling. I want to take away the fear of failure, and so you should do this where people can't hear you, where there's not anyone around, and you've got time and you're relaxed, and just try to listen to the music that you're playing over and react to it. Because noodling, soloing, shredding, taking a lead, it's all about improvisation. It's all about not following a rigid thing, but just reacting and playing with the music, anticipating where the music is going and playing something. So to start with, because that is kind of frightening, there's a lot to do, just do it on one note. And so that note is going to be the tonic note, and you're going to use that as your rooting note. I don't want to use the word root, but it's your home base. It's the tonic note. So you're always going to go back to that note, and you can play that note wherever you want to play that note, wherever you think it sounds good. So play it wherever you want to play it, wherever you think it sounds good, and really it's really about what you like about the music and what you want to play. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add another note, and the easiest thing to do would be to add a note which is close. And so I might just go up one, 2 semitones, but 1 tone. And this might not sound right, but it's the whole point. You've got lots of time to just so I'm hammering off, I'm pulling off, I'm adding a little vibrato. And then I bent it just there. So I was adding a third note, but you can do whatever you want. So I've gone from one note and it's kind of boring and it probably doesn't work in all those places, but hey, no one's watching, no one's listening, no one cares. And what you're really doing is creating a little feedback loop of what you play, listening to the music, and trying to figure out what sounds good, what you like, because everyone's going to ultimately have your own style. So you could practice somebody else's lick, but all you're doing is kind of learning by rote what they once played and then kept playing over a lot of time till it became a riff that became famous. But the way they came up with it is through noodling. It's through it's through that little bit of improvisation. Be really easy on yourself, really relaxed, and not really worry about where you're going. And if you can reduce the number of variables, so we're going to choose the tonic note as our home base, and then we added one note. And so if I'm looking on my decoder, I'm going to turn it to the key of E, and so I can see all my tonic notes. I'm going to hold this up. You can see all the tonic notes, so they're all the places where I can start as home base. And then what I've been playing is the second degree scale. So I'm playing E right up here because it's actually easy to play noodling on the high string, because even if you get it wrong, it still probably sounds okay. So I'm playing the second degree scale. Then you just have to start adding notes from there. I would stick with one string when you're starting. So don't try and cross strings unless you're feeling confident, but just... If I want to add a third, I could probably go up to, where am I going? I'm going from E to 2 to 3, and they're all spaced a whole tone apart. So if I'm down here, it would be... whoa, I got a little solo going on there. So I'm playing the 1 note, the 2 note, and the 3 note. But with those 3 notes, you can get a whole thing going on. You can get on the way there, but you can see I'm just, and with an open E string on that high E, so 1 note start, go to a second one, add a third, and then just listen to the music and see if you can react to it. So obviously there's a rhythm to the music, there's when the chords come in, and it's kind of figuring out what notes. Back to the E. And so those 3 notes are part of the pentatonic scale. And so the pentatonic scale is a reduced version of the major scale. And there's only 5 notes. So we've already covered 3 of the potential notes that we could be playing. So I played the full pentatonic scale. We've got 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6, and then back to 1 again. That's not in the pentatonic scale, but I played it, sorry. So that's 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1 again. So it's easier when you start playing all of the notes to use a shape. And so we have the pentatonic scale outlined in the green. That's the major scale, and we drop the 4 and the 7. So that's an E. So you notice I just played those kind of blah over the progression. And they all kind of were okay with what was going on. So that's the beauty about the pentatonic scale. It's kind of hard to play a wrong note. So here's my E again, different position, same shape. So I've got this pentatonic shape, and now I've added both strings and more notes. But you could do the same on the bottom. I could go back to my... So there I added the 5, 1, 2, 3, and then the 5. Back here, I'm back at the E again. And so there I was back to just 3 notes. I was on the 1, the 2, and I was bending up to the 3rd. It's much easier to bend when you're higher up here, so. And there I strayed from the path. I added the 4th, because that's part of the major scale, and we were probably playing the 4 at that time. And so as you get more comfortable kind of playing on that single string, you could just try different frets and see if they work. That one obviously doesn't, that's the flat 3rd. There's the 4, which is not part of the pentatonic scale because it typically clashes with more notes. But because I'm playing the 4, it's okay to play it. So knowing tonic note, which is the E, and then slowly adding notes. The 2nd, the 3rd. And then the other close note, which is not in the pentatonic scale, we're back to the major scale, is the 7. So there I'm just playing the 7 and hammering on to the 1. Not part of the pentatonic scale, but I'm noodling. So hopefully you're bored with what I'm doing, but it's kind of fun for me, because that's the beauty about noodling, is it's not about what people are hearing, it's about what you're enjoying, learning a little bit more about your fretboard, a little bit more about scales, like how chords connect. There's obviously 1. 2 isn't in the 1, but the 3 is. So this is part of the E chord. So when we're playing the 1, I can play the 3 no problem. I can always play the 1 because we're in the key of E. Because 1 chords are built with 1, 3, 5, so there's 2, there's my 3. So in the E chord, this is definitely part of the E chord. And this is part of the E chord. So we've done a single string, we've added more notes, but you also have the scale compass here to help you with the scale shape. So again, this is based around the tonic notes, the black dots. So I'm in the key of E. There's this green box has essentially the major scale and the pentatonic scale shown right there. So the next step in your noodling journey would be to take that pentatonic shape, that scale, and play. That's exactly that shape. So it's starting on the E note, which is the tonic note on the A string. And you've got this easy shape. So that's me playing the pentatonic scale. So I'm going to start my loop again. Again, that's not going to set anyone on fire, but you're just learning that shape. You're learning kind of how to get your fingers to do stuff, to whether it's to hammer on with your pinky, whether you could slide up from it. So you could just practice sliding. So I'm going from the E note up to the second. So again, just practicing little things. So practicing a slide, practicing a hammer on. And then when you're coming out of the shape, it gets a little bit harder because you have to use your pinky. So it takes a little bit of work to be able to get your pinky to do the hammer on, especially for some of the bigger, the 3-bar stretches. And so this is noodling. You've got a shape, but the shape is there as a crutch. I would advise you not to get too dependent on that shape, because you want to be able to move out of the shape. So you know this is the 1, this is the root, and if you're playing in that shape, you're kind of stuck in this little box. But you could come out of that box and still play the same notes. And then we can do the same shape, but now starting from this root. So the one thing that changes is because of the B rift between the G string and the B string, there's a rift. So there's my E, and so I go to play that same shape. This B forces it to move up 1 note. So I might play this shape here, but here it's going to be slightly different. I'm going to play essentially the same shape, but the bottom two strings are just moved forward by one semitone. So, oh. If you make a mistake, try and incorporate it into your noodle so that people just won't even know. So I've got my shape and I not get stuck in it, but it's a great place to start from. And all those notes should work over your basic chord progressions. And I'm making lots of mistakes, unfortunately sharing them with you, but when you're practicing, it's just practice, and the goal is to have fun. If you're still a bit unsure on how to noodle, then don't worry. We have free online resources going in depth on noodling alongside many other tips, tricks, and general music theory. So go to play.noisyclan.com and subscribe so we can help you play more.